Hello and welcome back to Just Another Paid Promotion, where we give an honest and humorous review of popular sponsorships on the platform. Today we're going to be looking at the Souvenir Plot and Lordship Company Established Titles. Lordship? Established Titles is a company that was started in 2019. It was founded by Katarina Yip, who runs the company through the Hong Kong venture capital company Galton Voicey. They're a company that sells souvenir plots of Scottish land for preservation purposes, which allows the buyer to title themselves a lord or lady. They were one of the biggest sponsors on the platform, from the educational, drama, gaming, finance, reviewers, politics. If there was a semi-successful YouTube channel, chances are they were probably sponsored by Established Titles, which was probably due in part to their really high payouts for sponsor integrations, which have made them become one of the biggest sponsors on the platform. In November of 2022, the channels Valskibum and Skopstrafer both released videos a few days apart covering the misleading and predatory practices of Established Titles, bringing a big wave of drama onto the platform, which led to many creators who worked with Established Titles to apologize and distance themselves away from the company, leading to Established Titles having to release a statement about the situation. This is one of the more notable cases of the ever-rotating world of YouTube drama, with even journalist Daisya Tortolitano making an article about the situation. But why did Established Titles, once being one of the big boy sponsorships on the platform, become so hated in such a short amount of time that barely any YouTuber takes a sponsorship from them anymore? Oh, yeah, Established Titles is, to tell you the truth, was one of the stupidest sponsors to ever be on this platform. Before I started doing the series, and even before all the controversy happened, I thought they were one of the stupidest sponsors on the platform. Their main selling point is that they sell you plots of land in Scotland that you're not actually allowed to use their souvenir plots, which did lead to a lot of people being misled into thinking they own the land. If they were an actual Scottish nature organization with the main intent of preserving more land with the money, that would be one thing. But you're preserving land that has already been bought in by a giant venture capital firm that's based in Hong Kong. And their land isn't a part of a sweeping vista like a majority of their marketing shows, which are actually just stock photos that a lot of Scottish tourism companies use. Established Titles land is scattered across Scotland, with most being acres of land next to roads, farms, and people's homes, with even one being part of a public park. So it's not land that's in desperate need of being preserved. Actually, if you go on the 3D viewer on the Google Maps for one of the locations, there's actually a company that's advertising land for sale. Now, I can't confirm that Established Titles has worked with this company, but just looking at this website and other sites that sell Scottish woodlands, you can just buy large pieces of land, and a few of these companies have already put the time and effort in making sure the land has been preserved, so it's probably more likely that Established Titles is paying for land that's already been preserved, which there's technically nothing wrong with. They paid for the land, but really shows how they probably care more about the monetary gain rather than the controversial side of things. If Established Titles sells 1 square foot of land for $50, or if you want to max it out, you can get 10 square feet for $300, before taxes and expenses, they can make anywhere from $1.3 million to almost $2.2 million in revenue from just 1 acre of land. Even with some of the bigger area lands for sale going into the hundreds of thousands of pounds or even millions, as well as the taxes and fees for buying land, they would easily be able to recuperate their losses in just a few acres of land sold, which they've probably been able to do with the amount of locations they have. It really puts into perspective why Established Titles probably went into the business model of preservation. It's probably the easiest way to sell real estate without actually giving the land away. However, their preservation, which is one of their main selling points, their biggest marketing tactic is the ability to call yourself a lord or lady. In Minecraft, the YouTuber David Bennett's Piano made a great point in one of his videos talking about established titles, that the title of becoming a lord can't just be bought off a website. It's an actual position of power in the House of Lords. And there's a 2012 article from the Laws of Society of Scotland, which got a comment from the Lord Lion on the subject of the legitimacy of online souvenir plots for sale, which the quote, "Ownership of a souvenir plot of land does not bring it with the right to any description such as laird, lord, or lady." This is probably due to the Land Registration Act of 1979, which states that souvenir plots don't count as real land that's owned by the buyer. So established titles is just selling a lie! The company did change their marketing strategy. It's more of a joke gift now, with the most hilarious GIF as a tagline. But this change was made after the big controversy happened, with them also removing the predatory countdown timer, which is a tactic that a lot of companies try to do to seem like there's a limited time deal, even though there's always a limited time deal going on. They actually changed a few more things on their website after the drama, from adding a tiny disclaimer to their examples and completely rewriting their about section to play up to the gag gift side of things, rather than the original, which is more about the lore title itself. All of this in an attempt to downplay the controversy and to make it seem like it was always a gag gift, even though they still use the ticket example on their website, and in their FAQ, it still says you can use this to make yourself a lord or lady. So you can definitely tell the move to a hilarious gift strategy was more just a quick way to downplay the drama, and just ranking this as a gag or novelty gift, it's pretty bad. Even if you can actually call yourself a lord or lady, what's funny being titled something that means you're having dominance over other people? And the examples they show on their website to title yourself a lord as aren't that great. I feel like a really overworked security guard wouldn't really care that your ticket says lord on it, or even if it did, it actually might be a red flag to them. And calling yourself a lord or lady on a dating app feels more like a way to detract people. It sounds so narcissistic. Also, wouldn't the title of lord and lady become redundant because everyone has the opportunity to buy it? It would lose all its prestige, and even by established title standards, its sense of humor. There are just way better novelty and gag gifts out there. There's literally websites dedicated to this that do a much better job at being hilarious than established titles could ever be. I think the only people that see the sense of humor in established titles is themselves.
What a bunch of suckers.
Now, I know established titles does work with non-profit tree organizations, which, I'll be fair, is technically a net positive, but I would like to note that one of these organizations works with giant corporations, and the other does not require a large donation to become an official sponsor. Also, on established titles' website, it does say they plant a single tree, and one of these organizations only requires $1 to be planted the tree. Even if established titles did donate a bit higher than $1, they would still be making a large profit per acre. And because they also donate, it does allow them to make tax deductions. There's also no mention that the donation also applies to established titles' worst parts, the add-ons. For some reason, you don't get a physical piece of paper when you buy the normal retail version. You have to pay an extra $30 for it, and to frame it is an extra $60. And actually holding this in my hand, this is so bad. The frame feels like it's from the dollar store, and it's so poorly made, and it just screams cheapness. I feel like I could break it any second. The paper on itself is technically better, even though the background is basically just a stock image. But this shouldn't even be worth $5. It should have been part of the original purchase. And I actually prefer the format of the digital version more than the one you get printed out. The digital one looks way cleaner, and the printed out one has just way too much text on it. There's a part of me that just wants to say, just print out the digital copy and buy a frame for much cheaper. But that would mean you would actually have to buy established titles, which I do not recommend you do. If you want a funny gag gift for a family member and also support the environment, find something that will suit their sense of humor and to support the organizations directly. You and the world are going to get a lot more out of it. And that's all I can really say about established titles. And I don't like to be too harsh. This company sucks. I'm really surprised that a lot of popular and even more respected channels took established title sponsorships. I don't think a majority of these creators meant to sell something that was really scummy. I think a lot of this drama was due to ad agencies saying this was a trustworthy company, so they're probably more at fault in the situation. And to give some merit to some people who did publicly work with the company, they did cut ties with them, and I don't have any disrespect to anyone who took a sponsorship from them. But this situation is a perfect example of the importance of research and not just taking a deal that has a high dollar sign. Those are the people who love what a creator makes and are the reason why they even have a job in the first place. Creators should always take account what they're selling to their fans before taking a brand deal. And I don't think a lot of creators did that in this situation. And admittedly though, sometimes still do. Because established titles is one of the most idiotic sponsors to ever be on this platform. A terribly unfunny gag gift that is horribly misleading, some of the worst attempts at taking your money, and basically greenwashing to a point that it should be a waterfall. This is the closest thing to ever be a scam. F tier! Cobuzz is a music streaming service and magazine that was started in 2007. It was founded by these two lovely gentlemen, whose names I sadly cannot pronounce correctly. Compared to the competitors, Cobuzz allows music to be streamed at CD quality level to even some tracks being played at high-res 24-bit level. It's definitely aiming for that audiophile audience, which you can really tell the sound quality is excellent. The biggest surprise for me was the magazine side of the platform. The articles and descriptions are shockingly well written, and I've actually really enjoyed reading through them, and it's definitely superior than YouTube Music's copy and paste descriptions from Wikipedia. I will say, all the music is more mainstream, or it's actually ripped from a CD release, so it's missing that user creator content you can get off Spotify, and it also doesn't have the same size catalog that Spotify has. Also, I wouldn't really recommend it if you don't have a good pair of headphones, or at least a decent preamp. But man, those CD quality tracks are something else, man. A tier.